how we become more strategic for continuing to attract the best minds and keeping the best minds in California.
Well, you know, as he mentioned in there, quite length, some of our advantages. We're perfect location between the rest of the Pacific Rim, the U.S. markets. We've got some amazing capital in place in terms, not venture capital, businesses. I mean, Google came out of California, came out of California. Because of what we had, some of the institutions that have created these things. So we do, and it's a great place to live. I mean, you'd rather live here than North Dakota.
Absolutely.
And so,
I'm from North Dakota.
And you're from North Dakota. Yeah. Well, you know, North Dakota is doing rather well right now.
Still at about 3.8% unemployment, I think, and booming economy.
Yeah, but still 10 below
They still haven't changed the economy, the environment, while the economy booms. But part of that global economy stuff, I mean, it's tricky for us to try and figure out if Long Beach and Los Angeles harbors lose a significant share. I mean, the cynics amongst us will also say, or maybe the optimists amongst us also say, it takes a little bit of the messy traffic out of the LA basin.
It does.
Those are a ton of jobs, and I understand congestion actually is an indicator of economic vitality in some ways, but I think there are some. If we just try and protect what we have rather than try to evolve where we need to be 10 years from now, we're going to lose that game.
Right. So what's the biggest reason you see businesses leaving Ventura County?
I don't know if there's a single factor. I mean, I would be a liar if I didn't tell you that we hear from plenty of businesses that just believe the regulatory climate in California, everything from what Cal EPA or the Labor Board or just land use policy is a problem. We don't actually think too many people leave because of that. We think people don't grow here because of that. They expand elsewhere.
Sure.
And I think that is a huge issue that can be underestimated.
Absolutely. Well, we saw that with Amgen about a decade ago, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we saw PPIC, Public Policy Institute of California, has come out with a study that said no businesses aren't leaving California at the rate the Chamber, California State Chamber would like us to believe. And I think that's heartening on the one hand, but it's also, look, they're still not expanding here.
That's right. Yeah.
I think some of the issues that in Ventura County that constrain some of the growth is when we see a lot of firms, and I shouldn't say a lot, but a significant number I think would be a fair statement, that are innovative on some aspect of manufacturing and do the R&D here, and they will never do the rote manufacturing here.
Right.
The volume, because there's
just too expensive.
Too expensive. The acres of land, the access to water, the transportation hubs are great, but they're not good enough for them to do that. Right. I think another issue that people leave is I do think that there are some land use issues that both contribute to quality of life. 10 years ago, whatever it was, we thought SOAR was going to be the end of Ventura County. And frankly, I'm of the mind that says SOAR is a positive aspect in a sense that when we talk to businesses in the San Fernando Valley, they come up here and they say, you mean you actually have urban boundaries? You actually have towns with identities? Yeah. That doesn't help them on the cost factor, but it helps them understand that they belong to a community and they like living in a group like that.
So you advertise the differences.
That's right. Yeah. So if businesses, we do not even remotely try to compete. If a business comes to us and says, I can find an industrial property for manufacturing at 18 cents
in Tucson
or in the Inland Empire, we just say, goodbye. I mean, there's nothing we can do to compete with that.
Sure.
If they come to that's right. Exactly. If they come to us and they talk about do they have access to skilled labor and the engineers and the education institutions, then we're all over it, and we do everything we can to get them here, keep them here, and grow them here.
Okay. Do you try to bring businesses from outside the state, or is it usually just moving businesses into the state?
I mean, we entertain inquiries as they come, but frankly, we don't aggressively go out and court that simply because it's not cost effective.
Sure.
To do that, there are national magazines for site selection and area development, and you'll see places from Texas and Nebraska and all over the country advertising there like crazy. And you'll see a few of the California groups, our competitors in the Central Valley. But the money you have to spend, you'd need to spend $500,000 to $1 million on an annual campaign, and you may get somebody to move here from Texas. We think if they're going to come to California, they're going to come here for the value proposition, and an advertising campaign is probably not the trigger to make it happen.
So EDC-VC does more than just try to attract businesses here, right?
Yeah, attraction is an aspect of our work. We are more centrally based around the notion of retaining and growing the existing economic base. There's a lot more opportunity there. The damage of not retaining business is far more profound than failing to attract one if people are leaking away. I mean, if you want to talk negative numbers, you know them far better than I do, but at the low point of the recession, Ventura County had lost 30,000 jobs. That's ballpark 10% of the economic base. Getting them back requires some job attraction, but it reinforces the message that we need to do a lot more about retaining. So to get to the real nut of it, we manage and operate in partnership with the U.S. Small Business Administration, a small business development center. We maintain a core group of about 32 professional consultants who are available to any business in Ventura County with fewer than 500 employees, which is just about everybody, at no cost. And we develop a very targeted scope of work with the business to look at whether it's market research, advertising, it's cash management, it's some aspect of the physical management of the plant in a manufacturing environment.
So a business could just call you up
absolutely
and say, I need some help, and how much does it cost them?
Costs them absolutely nothing. We say that it's prepaid in tax dollars, of course.
Okay.
You can find us on the internet at edc-vc.com is the best way to get a hold of us, and we can usually turn around an appointment in 24 to 48 hours. And we know going into a business that we don't know the business's business better than they do. Rather, what we believe that we have are some very good consultants who have the capacity to listen, identify where we have some complementary skills to offer them, and connect them to the resources to accelerate their economic prosperity, and that's what we do. We also do some small business lending for when businesses do not qualify for commercial credit. So we work together with banks to help businesses prepare themselves and access capital that might be from some of the non-conventional markets, but at very low rates. We lend at around 6% or less.
Okay.
So.
All right. And do other communities in California have a similar organization, or is this unique?
We're not unique. We think that we're better than the rest of them, of course, and that's some of data that we believe demonstrates that, and shameless boosterism, of course. There is a small business development center that covers virtually every area of the United States, but we've got one based here, housed in an economic development organization, so we think that's a very good match of resources. As far as small business lending and access to capital, those are fewer and farther between. So as a local economic development group that combines the small business consulting, the work with entrepreneurs and business expansion, and does some work in business attraction, we're not an odd duck, but we think that we have deeper resources than the average economic development group.
Now, can you hook up some guy with the next great idea to a venture capitalist?
We can introduce them. The venture capitalists, what triggers what they fund and don't fund is a mystery beyond us. But we're connected to several networks of angel and venture capital markets. And we also have some extraordinary capacity that we've just developed in 2 or 3 consultants who have a great track record in facilitating business accessing, in this case, it is federal money, federal research grants for R&D development, and so we can help. That, and
Are those usually energy-oriented?
They can be energy, they can be defense-oriented, they can be ag, they can be just about any industry sector at all. And the reason I bring this up in this context is some of that federal money might bring in $1 million to help a business invest in its R&D capacity, but it's a great way to introduce firms investing in R&D to the larger venture and angel investment markets.
So maybe they go through that, they find a good product, go out to the angel, and then they're on.
Because ultimately you need the private capital to move that stuff in a meaningful way.
Now, do you work with the agriculture industry?
A little bit, and it's a fascinating industry, as you know, in Ventura County. We've got a blend of some of the old fieldwork industry, but we also have some of the greatest innovators in the ag industry. And we have Howlings that's got massive operation doing tomatoes under glass in water and very creatively done. We have Gill's Onions that has won National Innovative Awards for taking onion waste and turning it into energy. We have Limonera Company, the largest lemon grower in America, doing solar energy on its property. And So what we're looking to do with firms like that is to figure out how they take some of their old world technologies, knowledge, and capacity and connect it to some of the new technologies, new opportunities, and diversify. Mm-hmm. And that's a different mix for different producers. Actually met with 2 cut flower growers earlier today. Okay. Ventura and Santa Barbara County are the largest cut flower growers in the United States.
And that's a high-tech business. People don't know it.
It is an incredibly high-tech business.
Yeah.
And we're working with them. Hopefully, they've got strategy to try and consolidate a transportation hub in Ventura County for this area to help them better compete on transportation costs, getting their product to national markets.
So their problem, I mean, they're fantastic at growing things here. They've got the glass, they've got computers controlling the environment, and the feeding and all that stuff. I mean, it just truly is amazing. But then once you cut it, you're still in the back of a truck, right?
That's right. And you got 14 days of life on that flower.
That's right.
And if you're down to 6 days from the consumer and 8 days to get it to them, it doesn't work.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So the logistic, strategic work that these folks are doing is fascinating. But they're very convinced if they could create a consolidating transportation hub here in Ventura County, that they could much better compete for lower prices on the transportation, the trucking market out there generally. And that would help retain, again, some great jobs.
Ag is becoming a more and more high-tech in Ventura County because, you know, land costs are high.
That's right.
Labor costs are increasing. Mm-hmm. So you got to go something that's high-tech to make money at that business.
That's right.
And so even strawberries, I've been watching them, you know, redo the fields after they're shut down from last year's harvest, and it's a lot of process goes into that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of anxiety in the whole world of how does agriculture fit into the larger economy. And if you look at the average job in Ventura County is around $50,000. In the ag industry, it's probably
22 or so.
Exactly, and it's 25,000 jobs on its upcycle. If you simply look at it in the cost per dollar through the consumer and the end laborer, I mean, we would love those laborers to earn more money. We understand the industry doesn't afford to do that. But retaining that industry is still a huge piece of the local economy.
Also, as it becomes more high-tech, these workers get paid more because they have to know more.
That's right.
And you know, there's quite a bit of difference between some of these nurseries where they're developing clones, I guess is what you would call them, and that process is, you know, a typical avocado tree is like its 3rd generation when it comes out.
And I mean, it's not a Ventura County market yet, but I used to be in the workforce world as opposed to economic development. I had great friends up in the Monterey County and Salinas Valley. And of course, that's the salad bowl of America, right? Leafy greens, they say. Right. But a lot of that is converted, a lot of the jobs have converted into packaging lettuce. And that's all automated, that's all technology. It creates new markets for them, and it takes jobs out of the field and doubles the pay for people to operate this equipment. And
we don't buy a head of lettuce anymore. We buy a bag of salad.
That's right, you buy a bag of salad. Go figure.
That's right.
There's probably a net loss of total jobs there, but the net income to the workers that are in the industry is actually up, and I think that that's a model that probably lands here before too long as well. Okay, we're running out of time. I need you to give your contact information one more time, Bruce. Absolutely. You can catch us at 384-1800. My extension's 24. The main office is 21, and we can get you an appointment as a small business for some kind of free, no-cost consulting, technical professional help, access to capital, referral to others, or edc-vc.com, and we'd love to work with everybody around here. Great. Okay, this is Bill Watkins, and again, we're from California Lutheran University. The show is Economics with Dr. Bill. Briefly summarized, we've seen, in terms of the economics part, we've seen a lot of economic volatility. We don't think the double-dip recession is coming, and if you're in Ventura County at least and you want help in growing your business, talk to Bruce Stenslie. Thank you. Thanks.